And thank you for joining us here on PM Express. In the last 24 hours, the Cecilia Dapaah scandal has resigned. Her home has been searched tonight. A lot happening. And we've talked about legality and the alleged corruption, etc. But there is one factor to this conversation that we must pause to reflect on. And that is the economic cost of hoarding cash. And why is it relevant? Remember that Ghana is still deep in the midst of an economic crisis that we haven't experienced before in our generation. And that's why this is important. Is Cecilia Dapaah's predicament one that is simply the tip of the iceberg? And I submit to you hypothetically, we'll try and find out if my hypothesis is right, that it is indeed the tip of the iceberg. There is a politically astute individual who has been there and done that, who actually says that what we've seen Cecilia Dapaah go through over the last few hours and few days that we've come to know of is just a tip of the iceberg, because he himself was one who also got money stolen for him because he kept it at home. So when he spoke about it, he says, all politicians, he says, without exception, all keep huge sums of money at home. I'm telling you who was saying that in an interview in 2004 and wrote a book about it also later on in my presentation. But let's get into the details if you're just joining us. And now, relaxing in your home after work, finding out what has happened in the case of Madame Cecilia Dapaah, who is now the former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister. She has been arrested today, formally by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We know that for certain. He had arrested her. She went to the Special Prosecutor's office today. She was interrogated for hours by officers. And we understand at the end of the process, they put a hand on her and told her she was under arrest. What we know also tonight is that she hasn't been charged. She hasn't been charged with anything just yet. But we also know that she has had her house searched. 2 homes, in fact, being searched tonight by officers of the Special Prosecutor. They went there. What were they looking for? From our sources, we're looking to see what else can they find. Can they find any evidence that will help their case, including is there more money being kept there? Because if you read a story that was filed, we know that as far as Madame Cecilia Dapaah is concerned, part of the money they themselves didn't know about because they were not tracking, and the house subs had taken the money over a period and only got caught when the husband chanced on what was happening in the house. So the OSP is interested. But also, that's what has happened the whole day today. But there's also some criticism for the president. Of course, on the back of the resignation, the president has said a few things. That he is confident that her integrity will shine through, and that her full the integrity will be exonerated in essence. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is tonight expanding the probe. €300,000 were all for her. So that's where we are tonight. Concerned, she believes she'll be fully exonerated, of course, and that is why due process is currently. Police have been looking into this. They've spoken to her extensively before investigating. When did she know that the facts, as the prosecutors had it, police precisely, and when did she find that out? Now, a few things to €100,000 also stolen. Spree. But in terms of cash, $1 million, 300,000 euros. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lost in the house. May not know what's happening there. So, yeah, 6 pieces of suit also stolen. Investigated. And so nothing is conclusive yet, including the innocent. Indeed. And yeah, it comes at a cool $35,000. The cost of what you see on the television, because it's worth a whopping true, as has been alleged, that they actually took all that are presented to you on the chart sheet that we picked up on. Because if you look at the amount, Not all. So that's the first contradiction we saw. In the chart sheet that has been amended, it has been 50 million CDs. So maybe when she says there were inconsistencies, first thing to note, if you hoard foreign currency, there will be a decreasing rate goes up. The problem you have, the first two things you begin to see is one, depreciation of the cedi. The dollar will strengthen locally because a lot of people are keeping their dollars at home, creating a shortage, artificial sometimes. But that's the problem when you hoard your money, dollars or any other foreign currency in an economy where legal tender is cedi. That cedi will begin to depreciate. A second thing will happen, import prices will go up. And let me quickly use the importation of fuel products, finished products, onto the market. Last year, Bloomberg reported that the cost of imports of fuel products, finished products onto the market was 450 million a month. It jumped from 250 million to 450 million. You know why? Because it was costing them far more using the dollars to buy, using the cedis to buy the dollar because it was the depreciation. It's costing a lot more. So it jumped. It costing them a lot more cedis to buy this. And then the Bank of Ghana said, we can only give you 100 million. So they have to find the rest of the forex somewhere. They have to go to the black market, and that also pushes the thing up. And then when that happens, it will then, when they bring it in at the high cost, because some people are hoarding and leading all to all this, fuel prices will go up at the pumps, cost of transportation will go up, the transporting food into Accra, for example, from the village will also be affected. The cost of food will go up at the markets. And when that goes up, inflation, you begin to see also now playing a significant role in this whole equation. And that's the beast right there. 42.5% is the inflation rate as we speak. And many people say it's food inflation. The food inflation in the country, possibly one of the factors causing it is cost of transportation. So you see, when you hoard cash, it begins to affect you in your pocket. The more people hoarding foreign currency we have in the economy, we're going to begin to see inflation beginning to bite a bit more. So this is the economic cost. We're beginning to expand this a bit more. And I like Obeda Samwa. And why is what I just told you important? If you have many more people, he had 100 million stolen. He had an old Ghana cedi. Let me emphasize that. Old Ghana cedi. So nothing compared to what we are talking about now. Stolen from his residence. And he was stolen by police officers who, by the way, were prosecuted as well. Opponents accused him, he said in his book, and this is we took from his book, that he was hoarding money. That was back then. And then he also said they accused him of being corrupt. But there's something he said later on in 2004 in an interview in the Chronicle that, for me, summed it up, and that's how I end my presentation. He said, those who accuse me of all these things are hypocritical, quoting him using that word exactly. And why did he say that? He says, look, all politicians, all political leaders keep loads of cash at home because you cannot deal with the political emergencies on a basis of issuing checks. All politicians. Of writing checks. When they're doing the campaign, they keep the monies in their car boots and in their cars. They drive it around, they reach a place, they pick it, and they do business there, political business. And so what Cecilia Dapaah is accused of, she's not been proven guilty yet. It's just an allegation. They just prove out that it's not hers. What she's accused of, according to Obeda Samuel, who himself had 100 million stolen from him, is just a tip of the iceberg. And if that is so, then it is legitimate to ask the question, what is the economic cost? When I return, Joe Jackson is with me in the studio. He has some fascinating insight into what we are talking about and how that might affect you, the banking system, and the financial sector generally. And then we will have also Dr. Edouard Nanientwi. He's a lawyer, so I'm really looking forward to hearing his thoughts on this. But he is also the immediate past boss of the Securities and Exchange Commission. And then my good friend, Professor Godfrey Bokwing, will also join us with his thoughts on this matter because of the economic angle. And then, of course, banking consultant, Dr. Richmond Utiahene, all coming together for a conversation about this beast, beyond Cecilia Dapaah, what really is the economic cost of many more people keeping their monies at home and hoarding them, as Dr. Obeda Samuel said. Stay with me after the break. We'll have a conversation.
Can he tee up someone in red? And it goes to one.
Five Champions League. You want to know? I be the real goat, chairman.
Who is the goat? Ghana Jollof or Nigeria Jollof?
Ghana Jollof has no co-equal. The smell alone. Oh my God.
No, that shift. You two they lie, eh? Now the same stew where they use cook the rice and then they go put them for top.
Hey! You are lying. Ghana Jollof.
Are you here? Forget everybody. Yeah, my guy. Put your papa in the jar. Put some respect on the goat. On the goat. The only goat I know lives in Tama. Every year we dey give to you back. We are talking about PET. I want to hear the face. Except be the goat, huh? My guy, he be the goat.
Though our choice of goats may differ in football, music, and jollof, Alomo Bitters always brings us together. Alomo, experience greatness in every moment.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 and recommended to pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey!
Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
With the EcoBank salary account, bro. See, with the EcoBank salary account, you will enjoy free life insurance, free debit card, save while you spend, and an amazing chance to double your salary, a hoarding seven, and even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank double salary promo reloaded.
Guy, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yara. But maybe next time, Charlie, you know what? I'll go shine my shoe.
Yo, myself, I'll go check my BP.
We going up, never go down, and we stay flat.
Chairman, you see the white sign it here.
Open an EcoBank salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
And the top life regardless.
This promo is under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Caritas Lottery Platform. The Pan-African.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left
is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo Superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
My name is Tina. I am a person living with HIV. I got to know my HIV status after I gave birth and lost the child because of HIV. In those days, prevention of mother-to-child transmission services had low patronage due to fear and stigmatization. Today, many HIV-positive women have delivered negative children. I follow the guidelines and take my HIV medicine called ARVs every day, as prescribed by my doctor. This makes me strong and healthy, and also prevent me from passing HIV onto any future child. Please, avail yourself for PMTCT services when pregnant. It is the only way to ensure you do not pass the HIV onto your baby during birth or pregnancy. If you have tested for HIV recently and it was negative, test again when pregnant. If you have tested positive, go to the hospital after birth as directed by your healthcare provider. Your baby will be given medicine immediately and tested to ensure baby and mother are well. Let us work together to have an HIV-free generation.
Our children must be free to shine.
And thanks for staying with me on PM Express. My guests are seated. I'll introduce them again pretty shortly, but PM Express is always brought to you by Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we are going to occupy them ourselves. Syntax tanks, it is strong, it is tough. Alomo bitters experience greatness in every moment. Ghana AIDS Commission as well. And I want to tell you more about Syntax tanks, because no matter your water needs, Syntax tank has it all. Syntax tank is first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntax tank is first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana. Now we introduce you to the customer specs order, which lets you order any color and any size of preference. Syntax tank gives you the longest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you in Ghana. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Syntax tanks. We have agents nationwide. Call us on 0244 334. Sakumono, developed by Cherry Tree Properties, a one-of-a-kind, well-planned life. Here before, he is with Dayless Finance, and he understands. the Securities and Exchange Commission is Dr. Edouard Nanentwi, is immediate past Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. We'll also be joined by Dr. Richmond Otuahene, he's a banking consultant, and of course, Professor Godfrey Bokpin is an economist and professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School. Mr. Jackson, let me start with you. So you heard the story on Friday, and immediately what struck you, thinking as a finance man?
Good evening, and good evening to all my good friends, especially Professor Bobkin and my really special friend, Dr. Tuahene.
Okay.
But listen, the first thing that struck me is, whoa, somebody's in deep trouble. Because what struck me first was from the perspective of anti-money laundering. And the fact that she's what is defined in anti-money laundering as a politically exposed person. Now, a politically exposed person means anytime you take cash to the bank, right?
Yeah.
The bank or the financial institution is mandated to scrutinize it very, very carefully, even to the point of comparing it to your declared assets, etc., to make sure that you are not laundering cash. And we call them PEPs, politically exposed persons, and there's always a red flag. So when you see a PEP holding large amounts of cash, the first thing that strikes you is, they couldn't have taken it to the bank. Because I assure you, they will be flagged.
Are you sure there's no bank in Ghana who will take the money quietly and put it back in?
You see, the problem now is that if you do things like that, the central bank will come after you. If you do things like that, your correspondence bank will shut you down.
That is if they know, right?
But they're constantly vetting, they're constantly checking. So all of us, listen, each financial institution has somebody responsible for compliance who's doing this all the time. I assure you, you bring this sum of money to the Lex Finance.
I was going to ask that.
I was going to say,
tomorrow morning, I'll bring you $1 million.
I would say, first of all, I don't take dollars. But even if you brought the money, I'll say, hold it. Cash, no way.
Why?
I won't take cash. I will tell you, go and pay it into the bank and give me a check.
In my bank?
I don't care which bank it is, but give me a check.
But I'm investing.
Yes, you're investing, but not every money. The rule is that not all money is clean money for me to want it. And one of the first tests is that if you can pay it into a bank account and give me a check, check well, especially because you're count cash. I'll tell you, go and pay it in the bank and give me.
But you raise an important point. I need
what Joe is saying, that you need to do a due diligence. Arms transaction. All those things are specifically money is coming from. We're going to ask you so many questions. So as like money will be accepted. And I believe if you go to the other banks, the law was passed in 749, and it was actually upgraded. Even that one, it gives us a room to do more enhanced.
To houses like the Daily Finance and others to school.
Was passed some time ago, and SEC make investment, anything about investment. We want to
this inquiry, this curiosity from your outfit then?
$500 or $200 into an account. If it takes, or it keeps on coming, the Act was amended. Other institutions like
Ghana, were people actually reporting to you? Because I believe people were actually sending money.
yes, you have to report. You see, that's why we are saying if you send the money and it hasn't entered the formal system, the report will not be issued because nobody will know. For example, if I am able to, if you are traveling, you are supposed not to travel with more than
$10,000.
$10,000.
I know you have to declare.
Yes. But if I'm able to do that and I get to Ghana, and I have done that on several occasions and I've gotten some 100,000, it hasn't gone into the banking system or the financial system. So nobody will see I have gotten, once I wasn't apprehended at the airport, it's safe and I bring it home. But to send it into the formal financial system, that is where the check is. Maybe you have gotten for $100,000, you want to go and buy a house. The law requires the estate developer to do some hard checking on you to ensure that is not money that is illegal.
Well, I hear you, but I mean, whereas Joe Jackson is a stickler to the rules and will not, take the money. Landlords, if you bring me bought cash to rent for 10 years, most people I bet will take. Let me bring in Professor Bokpin very quickly before I come back to Joe Jackson and drill down to some of the real implications of this. Prof, let me start with you on that question. So we've established now from the conversation so far, so she couldn't have taken the money to the bank, because if she did, the system will flag her or should flag her. So then, of course, she will keep the money at home. So she did. If you take Obeda Samuel's word for it, that this is something that politicians do, because they cannot really deal with political emergencies on the basis of issuing checks, and there's a lot of hoarding in the system, what is the economic impact of that?
Very much, Evans. Good evening, and then my co-panelists. So look at it this way. How did the money enter the house of the minister? Probably the money passed through the financial system. Possibly. And that is where you can estimate the economic cost. Probably a certain project, the payment was made probably through the financial system. The money is withdrawn because even though probably or through a conduit or whatever, they know, and we all know, that what has happened in the case of this minister is not an isolated case. This is what represents also the fear assuming you are a politician, you have a political ambition, and all your wealth is kept in the banking sector, you are at risk of what the government could do.
Really?
Yes.
Isn't the safest place to keep your money with Daily Finance?
Even the government itself, the minister and the rest of them, they themselves feel uncomfortable storing their wealth in the financial system. Even they are overseeing the system.
And why is that?
That is politicians.
Okay.
You are likely to see this also happening across top business people in the private sector, right? That equally keep cash outside the financial system, also because of the frustration of moving money here and there and the rest of them. Apart from that, you also see that the kind of laws we have put in place and the rest of them also makes it a bit uncomfortable for the wealthy to put everything in the financial system. It's not only Ghana, it's across Africa largely. It's also the reason why you see that the black market tends to be stronger than the formal financial system, because the black market is an interface between that underground economy and the formal financial system. This is what is happening. And you are likely to find that some of the most liquid black markets probably happen right in front of a police station or an area that really you would not expect something like that to happen. Because that is an interface. Now, if the kind of system that we have created, if you want to keep large money outside the banking system, then you are mindful about the store of value, right? So most likely that the currency that is most stable is where you will store the money. It's part of why the CD depreciates. You mentioned that earlier. Scale it up and then look at the total wealth of private wealth in the hands of financial secrecy jurisdictions across the world. Few of them are actually in Africa. Okay? And then if you check the data, you will see that more than 60% of the wealth of the average African, those who have net balance of more than $1 million, are actually held. And all of that. Check also the role that government
I don't necessarily agree with
that
you.
that she thought. Okay, so
the first. An issue of she thought it would be safer. Keeping such large sums of forex, because last year to buy dollar and hold. So you got to realize that if a good way to store money from if you keep the money, forex money at home, that money is import fuel, food. So when you take money out, you create a false that allows all of us. So you get money, it less than 3 weeks
of import cover.
Of import cover.
But as Sama says, there are many more.
Thank you.
People will have.
Into foreign currency, which appreciates, which I will explain why. The drop in the value of the cedi we had damaged the cedi's brand. Based on anecdotal evidence rather than based on empirical.
And Dr. Redmond Chahane, on that point that Joe Jackson just made, in the financial system, because of our recent history with the she has even a bird's eye view. Exactly. She knows
agree. This DDE currency where you'll be able to go in and go out, because the asset in foreign currency, whether you like it or not, because the history part of our setup. So it's good to have the laws, but to resolve this currency depreciation, you must export more. You must in the long run you have. So any rational human being would ask himself, after the change of something, people in America were coming down here and asking, when a champion was there, it's 1 million tons. I think when there was a time when I was in school, it was at 2 million tons. Today we are talking about 600, 700. We haven't added value to anything.
Yeah,
Look at Ghana, I'm saying.
But here's the question.
If I tell you the BOP, what is on the BOP, what is...
Yeah, I mean, but Dr. Chiahane, I want to bring in Professor Bokwen into this. Prof, if that is the case, and this is an economic question, and how we run our economy efficiently, should politicians like Cecilia Dapaah have a justification, like all of us, to also then decide not to put her money in, especially because she's part of the cabinet and she's part of ensuring that we run an efficient economy that gives her the confidence and everybody else to then, put the money in. So as Joe Jackson has said, there's a circulation that then improves the economy. Can we make the same excuse for political leaders?
As I said, that if you look at the data from Ghana from independence, political victimization, they don't even do it to only themselves in the political space. Across powerful indigenous private sector, confiscations, and all of that in this country, there is a certain posture which feeds into what you see manifesting. And as I said, I'm sure the colleagues of Cecilia Dapaah will say probably she wasn't smart, because this is not an isolated case, right? Okay, so my considered view is that this is pervasive across the political class and even top business people who, in addition to maybe keeping it at home, actually started outside the continent, because the African financial system, is such that the rich Africans themselves don't feel too comfortable plowing back their wealth into the financial system.
And I wonder if you want to explain that. Well, but why is that? Because I hear that a lot, that this is something that happens, business people, politicians, but why is it?
The average politician when they get power, they will not use it for ultimate good. They will not use it to serve. They will come after you. The average African politician is afraid of a powerful domestic private sector from independence. You look at how Ghana has treated our own entrepreneurs from independence. Some had to run away. Some had to dress like women in order to escape arrest. Some died in exiles. It's not only Ghana. You can look at the story of Nigeria across Africa. I just told you, if you look at the it made it for Africans to even invest their wealth in the African politics. Okay, we don't finance it with check. In fact, if we were also, but you get there and it's still strong because the underground economy is very strong.
Depreciation of the city was a major problem. Everybody thought we're facing
that classroom at the top, right? And that is where the inequality begin to manifest. Because it's the central bank that prints money, but banks create money through the process of credit creation, which is the process where money lent to individuals find its way back into the financial system and it's available for lending again and all of that. But here you don't see that process happen. That's why I'm saying that we need to understand the historical context. We need to understand the kind of the economic context. We need to understand our own history. And then also, you see, the government is at the apex of it. Even if you look at the banking sector cleanup, initially the motive and how it turned out. And then if you examine it across time, across different regimes and all of that, you will see that what happened in the case of this minister is not an isolation. It's a mirror of a certain understanding. Okay, and that is why, look, it's possible that from last year, demand for safe probably went up. People want to keep more money at home, and the more they want to do that, chances are that they would want to keep it in the currency that is stable. And I don't know, I'm not saying that we should sympathize with this woman, but I think this is pervasive. I think this should lead us to have a better conversation in terms of building a financial system that is safe, that everybody can trust. And it's also because we are unable to build independent institutions, okay, such that even regardless of which party is in power, if you have your money in the bank, there's some kind of protection, secrecy. I mean, and all, because people can have access to anything that you have, and you can easily be a target. Yeah. Especially if you're a political opponent, especially if you run top. Look, there are top business people in Ghana. They are even afraid to speak up. because the party, the government or the party could come after them if there's a regime change. We have in this country where businesses rise and collapse with regimes.
Yeah. Prof, please stay with me. I want to take a quick break. When I return, the point he's made repeatedly, I wanted to bounce off you, Mr. Joe Jackson, is that this is not only happening among the political class, the business people, top business people, also keep their monies at home. And I want to pick your thoughts on that. And then to Dr. Iduana Niemchi, if you look at the chronology of what happened with Cecilia Dapaah's money, it started of June last year, and that's in the thick of the conversation around, we're going to face a haircut and the conversations leading into October and going into next year. Everybody was struggling. If you had money in bonds, you were now struggling to try and liquidate that quickly. So you're not, and many of us could not liquidate, and then we got stuck, you included. Does it surprise you that if you look at the case that was filed, it is around that time that the monies, at least from what we hear, the house help started taking them away, and it possibly could also mean that it was around a period that she then decided to, keep the monies at home instead of taking it to the banking sector. If you look at the circumstance, that was around the time when we all talk about what was going to happen in the economy. Does it surprise